Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pail, steel toe boots.
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure. Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jaylen.
Can I close it, John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
I'm hit the beat that time.
Yeah,
you got it.
Right on target. Armit's got
Are we calling him
some beat.
We're calling him Armit now.
Armit.
Is that what you just called him, Armit?
No, I said Amit. Amit's got the beat. He's got the drop.
Or as Nick likes to say, Amit.
A beat. He's got the beats.
This was the get Rob Williams a ring game. This was the Delano Banton revenge game. This was the Joe Mazzulla vindication for running the bench the entire fourth game. But again, Portland Celtics Sunday night. What are we doing here?
Can you feel it?
What are we doing here?
No,
we're here
I can't.
for one
Jimmy.
reason
I am
and
numb.
one reason only.
I can't feel anything.
Two reasons we're here. One, oh yeah, I forgot.
Mr. Balloon Hands.
Two reasons. Because we have to be. Because we promised you we would.
Because
and that's
we're
what we
professionals.
do. Three reasons. Sponsors. We've got to satisfy the sponsors. Absolutely. But most importantly, it is championship weekend, and it's possible.
Wow.
It is possible. This one is over before it began. An avalanche of threes and transition buckets, whatever.
He's your third center.
Right. He's your third center is putting the wood to Luke's lemon squares.
It's this Secretariat just going down the line.
It's over. People, if you like lemon squares or you're just generally a fan of baked goods, maybe the blame pie people that didn't get that baked good into the finals want to throw their support behind Luke's lemon squares. Do something because he's your third center is running away with it. Bloodbath. Vote
it's Luke on Luke crime right now.
Yeah.
Who's Bobby taking? That's what I want to know. Who's Bobby taking in this one?
I think he's taking third center. A lot of people thought that third center would it was the hot team. It was your NC State. Third center was your NC State, except they figured out a way to go all the way. That's the difference.
Wow.
They are killing him. Killing him. Third center. This is a recency bias situation.
It is, but it's also, I think it's got some staying power. I really do. As long as Luke's on the team, I think your third center is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of both. And that's what it takes in the tournament. You got to be hot. You got to be, you got to be good, but you got to also be hot. A lot has to go your way.
The question is, who is your third center? Is this justified?
He's not your third center.
He's not even your third center, Bobby. Is this a justified victory? If in fact,
did we kill Luke? Did we kill the third center?
What if we killed the third center? It's possible, right?
Oh no, we jinxed it.
We could have. He killed the third center.
The X-Man is coming on strong.
Yes.
He's coming on strong.
Time.
He
That's why they traded for him.
Is he rotation ready?
The fact that we're even asking a question says a lot. Because I would not have said that like a couple of weeks ago. I would have just said, no, Luke's good. He looks good. He's solid. He's straight. I don't know anymore. I mean,
Luke has served his purpose.
Thank you for your service.
Luke,
Thank you for your service. But the X-Man is next.
What do they say on Game of Thrones?
Like, I hate that, but
when your time is up or you've served your time, I don't even remember.
Your watch has ended.
Your watch has ended.
Luke's watch has ended. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is. I think he's rotation ready, but again, and I've said it, we all said it. We're talking about a handful of minutes, a matchup-based situation. That is what is up for grabs right now. So if I think Tillman has proven that he can go into a game and spell a guy and be physical and switch on defenders. That's pretty much switch on defense. That's pretty much what I think he's proven. So good, because they didn't have that before they made the trade. So good.
Luke's watch has ended. Okay, and that is that, and we are fine. And so be it. Okay, he's one of the Mormonts or something. He's not going to make it to the end.
He's a White Watcher.
He's and that's fine. White Walker.
Yeah, White Walker.
Somebody kind of sort of watched the show. Yeah,
I have to watch it again.
Yeah.
Well, the last season prevented anybody from really wanting to rewatch it.
I thought Lost did the same thing. I thought the last season was so poor it invalidated almost the entire run to the point.
Yeah, I love Lost.
You'll never rewatch it all over again because you know what the conclusion is. Whereas other series are totally rewatchable start to finish because you're enjoying them. But when they just went splat at the ending, there's no point. Anyway, segue. Yeah. Who did not go splat at the ending is the Celtics bench. And you know what? Putting in your bench against Portland definitely makes more sense than against a playoff team fighting for positioning. And they hung in there, man. They did their thing. They redeemed themselves after whatever happened, last game, which was still fun, good entertainment. But Celtics starters sit the entire fourth quarter. Bench outscored the Blazers 31-22.
Loved it. Love to see it. I mean, they need that more than you could imagine because, again, at some point in the postseason run, some of those guys are going to be called upon to do some of the dirty work and contribute other than just be a warm body on the floor. And for them to have some type of success, I mean, it's huge for them. Huge for them. Even if it is Portland, who sucks.
I love Pritchard right now. Just love what he's doing for them. He's
so sparky.
He is Mr. Spark, Mr. President of the Spark Club. That is who Pritchard is right now. And just in time. Just love what he's given them. I wanted him to throw down that dunk. I think the whole world, anyone who was watching, thought that he was going to try to dunk that on the breakaway off the turnover there. I don't know why he didn't.
I wish he did.
I'm sure he's getting shit on for it, not giving it a shot, but he made the smart play, which, I guess commend him for that. He just did the easy layup, quick too. But what he's been able to give them right now, even just like at the end of the season when guys just need rest, he's been able to just do that, like go into the game and keep this. And again, last game aside, where the Stay Ready crew was not ready, he's typically been able to keep the pace, keep things going in the right direction as the sort of like the head of that second unit snake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, he to me, in a lot of ways, he becomes the blueprint for a bench player. Like, this is what you should do when you get an opportunity to play and you don't know whether you're going to play 5 minutes or 15. You ball out. You make an impact. You do little things. Pritchard isn't always scoring when he's out there, but he's making an impact, whether it's playmaking, being a pest defensively, just doing something to show that or validate his ability to be on the floor. And if you're, into the bench guys, that's exactly what you want to do. Get your ass out there and make a play. Whether it's a shot, making a shot, getting a block, drawing a charge, do something that will catch the coach's attention so that maybe, when you're in a jam and they've got a choice between either keeping the starter in who's got one too many fouls or turning to you for maybe 2-3 minute spell, they're going to turn to you.
Yeah. And, the best thing about, one of the big knocks on Joe last year, and again, this is a good comment here, just the bench has gotten run in a lot of different ways, in ways they didn't get it last year, where again, you're playing insane minutes and Tatum's not resting and 37 and 38 and you're running Al 40 minutes a night, 38 minutes. And it just got silly. And you knew like, all right, this is going to be a problem. And you don't have that now. But on top of that, it's not just tiring out your starters. They'll obviously be incredibly well rested for this game. I mean, for the playoffs here, because they haven't played anything meaningful in a while. But you really gave bench guys opportunities to play with starters in regular rotations, significant minutes, not just these flashes of 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, and then not in the second half. I'm just going to stick with my starters. They played real minutes. I like this stuff the last couple of games. Fine, take it, run it, play the game, play against starters, see how you do. That is good experience. So that does help a lot. If there's one positive thing coming out of it, is those guys will be pretty sharp coming in here. I know people will argue the rust versus rest sort of thing. But again, when you've got that big layoff with the play-in sort of stuff too, no one's going to have been playing for a while. And most teams, unless you're playing down to the wire for a play-in spot or to stay above one, you're starting to rest guys too down the stretch here. You don't really care. Most teams 3 through 6 are just going to kind of take that last week off anyway. So nobody's fresh coming in with like playoff intensity outside of the teams that are in the play-in. The bad thing is you'll play one of those teams. And tonight it actually got a little interesting, right? Because we've been saying, and you've been saying, Sherrod, Sixers are going to play their way. And this is, a non-game comment. We'll get back to game-related stuff when Bobby and those guys jump in. This might be the most interesting thing that happened tonight. The Pacers beat the Heat. Now they've extended their lead for the 6th seed to 1.5 games with 3 to play. The Sixers are down 10 at the half against the Spurs. Embiid sat the second of a back-to-back. This could mean it's Miami or 7-8, and very likely you're playing one of those two teams as the 8th seed in the first round, which, again, you expect to beat, but it's the worst-case scenario by far. Getting one of these two in a 1-8 matchup as a 65-win team when you should have an absolute cupcake and someone you could just take behind the woodshed, and you're going to get something that's going to be annoying at the very least, right?
Yeah, because you're looking at the other two teams in that whole that play-in bucket. You look at Atlanta, you look at, I think, Chicago's the other team. You would love to see one of those. And frankly, those are the type of teams that you should be seeing in the first round if you're a top seed. But the way this thing is playing out, I mean, it's not that big a stretch to see the Celtics play like, Miami or Philly. I still think Philly is going to play their way out of the play-in game. I still think they're going to do just enough to get to that 6th spot. And Miami, though, I think Miami is pretty much going to be they're going to be in that 8, 9, 10 range. So the chances of them catching Miami, I think, are much greater than they are for Philly, just because Philly has an X factor that's going to help them win some games. Miami is just a bad team this year. That's simple. They don't have the same kind of dogs. And one dog that they do have that's kind of a new wrinkle is Terry Rozier. And these guys are well-versed on what Rozier can do. So there's not like there's any sneaking up on them the way the Martin brothers did last couple of years.
Yeah.
You just had the Pacers beat the Heat, as you guys, mentioned there, but are we concerned about the not concerned, but the Pacers falling into that play-in game? Are the Bucks concerned about the Pacers falling into that play-in game?
I think
they've had trouble with the Pacers this year.
I think the Bucks are concerned about anyone they play at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're a hot mess right now. They're again. You start looking at the numbers, you start looking at the record, and they are no better with Doc Rivers since he took over than they were before. It shows in wins and losses. Yeah, definitely wins and losses. I mean, they've basically been a 500 team since Doc took over. So for them,
for a stretch and then not. And they're not.
They had like a boom. Yeah. They had like one period of time where they looked like maybe they're turning a corner, and then you blinked and it was like, oh no, wait a minute, there's still this crappy team they can't defend. So
they could even fall out of the 2 seed.
Really, I think they will.
Coming down the stretch. I mean, there's only a few games left, but they got a 2-game lead, and there's 3 teams that are 2 games behind them right now. It's kind of wild.
I just don't think Orlando is good enough to overtake them. And take advantage of the opportunity. And I don't think New York is going to either.
It's a shame what happened in New York with the injuries and everything.
Yeah. Cleveland will be the one team that I think could potentially move up to that 2 spot. But even them, it's, I'm not sold on them being able to seal the deal either. So Milwaukee may wind up being the number 2 by default.
Yeah.
That's what it's looking like.
But they're a very weak, in my opinion anyways, a very weak number 2 team. Team that definitely has first round elimination potential as a 2 seed, which isn't common, especially in the NBA, when typically the favorites advance, certainly out of the first round, but talent usually wins out. And for whatever reason, or multiple reasons right now with the Bucks, not playing anywhere near the way you want to play going into the playoffs. I always say you want to be playing your best basketball going into the playoffs. It feels like the Celtics are kind of right around there. Guys like Porzingis are playing their best basketball. Brown was back in the lineup tonight, so that was good to see. I know there was a lot of question on whether he had a sprain or a strain or if it was anything serious, and John was a little bit nervous, I think.
No, I was the opposite of nervous.
He was the opposite of nervous. It was
I was the one that was leaning towards like I don't know about this.
Right.
No, Jaylen was good. I mean, he was really good tonight. He went over the 10,000 point barrier.
Why the fingers taped? What is?
I don't know.
Your hand. You tape your fingers when your fingers are jammed or sprained or broken.
Right.
Right. I don't understand how a sprained. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on there. It is
unless we're talking about it. Yeah, unless we're talking about another injury, and that may very well be it. That he's got some other thing that he hasn't really talked about, and that might be it. The sprain, because you're right. I mean, I don't know anyone who's ever had like a hand or sprain of some sort that their fingers tape. Your fingers are taped because they're jammed. Typically, when you had some type of sprain, you're dealing.
I mean, he's sprained ligaments in his fingers or something, or I'm not sure.
It's probably literally nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like, oh yeah, I felt
like right now you can't see it, but I have what's called a sprain. I have sprained ligaments in my thumb, and it's like you see, it's ridiculously fat compared to my other one.
Oh wow, look at that. Let's get a better look at that thing.
Do you really?
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh my God.
Whoa. And Aaron, put that down.
Sherrod's thumb is a 2 seed next year.
What's going on? Sherrod, have you gotten that checked out?
Yeah, I have.
That looks gangrenous. Like holy crap.
Sherrod, I'll be honest. That's about to fall off. That looks like it's about to fall right off. It's gone, and it's gone. Yeah, it's all that typing. It's
everyone
all that typing.
Pray for Sherrod's
with that thumb.
Yeah, this is correct here. He has a thumb on his thumb.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, hey, Sherrod. Hey, and you don't see Sherrod. Sherrod is not complaining. He's not.
We're working it, man. We're going.
He's not making it.
That was like when Shaq threw his toe up on the desk.
That was hysterical.
Shaq used to paint his toenails too. I don't know if everyone knows that, but yeah, he used to paint his toenails. In the locker room, he had him painted. So
Sherrod's thumb is in next year's bracket for sure. Holy
Sherrod's mangled thumb.
As long as it's still with us, yeah.
I'll take care of it tomorrow.
Sherrod's thumb's thumb. Yeah. Yeah, Sherrod, we need you for the playoffs, man. Can you just get that looked at for us so that we?
Yeah,
we know
Jaylen was good, and again, it's the Jaylen non-Tatum game. He takes that spot in the kind of in the rotational minutes there, plays the entire first. Was good. What they needed, provided that kind of stability and the consistent scoring as with that first unit. Everyone else did their part. Really, all you needed. I mean, Without the offensive rebounding tonight, Portland wasn't anywhere close to it. And that was that. That's what they got.
Well, John, what I wanted to ask you, John, was what did it feel like to have your guy Time Lord back in the building? I know he didn't play, but still, just the fact that and listen when they introduce each of the players, they introduce Banton, they introduce Malcolm, and they introduce Rob. Who got the damn near standing O when they introduced Rob. You could tell that there was lots of love for Time Lord still. So
you know how I feel. I really
how they introduce him? He didn't play.
They just said welcome back.
They did it during a timeout.
They did one of those.
But it was all three. They said the Celtics would like to welcome back former players. Banton, Malcolm Brogdon, also in street clothes, gave a wave, and then Rob barely looked up. He barely acknowledged it.
I think he was embarrassed.
No, I think this. It was said, so people were wondering, does he get a tribute video or not? And I don't know, what the criteria is for tribute video. It's not like they're hanging his number in the rafters. It's not that big a deal. I think Rob, if he's playing for a team where there's not two other Celtics on it, maybe would have been okay. I think he was legit embarrassed because he's got two other Celtics there. And he's like, what are you going to make this about me? I don't want to do that. Kind of a humble thing. Kind of cool. The report was, from Adam Himmelsbach of the Globe, who had tweeted earlier, man, did they do Rob dirty? Putting him in there with these two other guys? He certainly, in terms of time served and popularity, is ahead of both of those players. And then, Adam tweets a little bit later that a Celtics official told him that Williams asked the Celtics not to do a tribute video for him. So that's a bummer because, one, he deserves it because just the fan aspect of it, he's loved.
There'd be some great highlights.
And the highlights would have been spectacular.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
My heart hurts for Rob, legit, because like he's such a good guy, and I believe he worked out this year, and I believe this was going to be the first off season that he came in like game ready, and I really wanted to see it. It was a necessary thing that they did, and it still absolutely kills me because they like him a lot. They wanted him to be a part of it. He liked being here. He's such a good dude.
Yeah.
But it kills me that he's not here and not part of this. And there wasn't a way that they could have made it work. But it is what it is.
Let me ask you a question. Okay. You have a chance to get two guys here on this year's team, and let's say next year's team. Who are you taking, Rob or Banton?
I mean, come on.
Think about it.
No, I don't have to.
Wait, Rob or who? I missed the other after Rob.
Rob or Banton? Rob or Banton?
Jimmy, this is like a Bobby question.
The way Banton's playing right now, I think I think the Celtics probably wish that they didn't give him away the way they did. He's playing really, really good basketball. He fills a huge need for them. It'd be an unbelievable bench player for them. And you don't have the same health issues or concerns that you have with Rob. So I think it's a fair question. I understand your love for Rob.
I'm gonna let the chat deal with you on this one. I'm not even going to address it.
I think it's a fair question. Everyone's in love with Rob for what they think he can be. But Banton's actually out there doing it. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm taking Rob.
Were you hanging out with Gelso before the game, or?
No, I'm just throwing it out there. Look at the way Banton's played recently. I think a lot of times for players, they just need an opportunity to show what they've got. I think Banton's doing a great job of that.
He's your fifth point guard. He's your fifth point guard. I love that.
I had to throw it out there. You can throw it back. I had to throw it out there. He's your fifth point guard.
I'm not throwing it back. You threw it out there, and this thing missed the basket like 3 feet to the right and 2 feet short. Like, I don't even have to swat this one. Like, I don't know that this one doesn't catch iron. I'm sorry.
This is a Thanasis shot.
This is Thanasis top square, top left backboard line drive. Oh man, that's all right. We all get one. I think
the point I'm trying to make is Banton is playing unreal.
The point, there's two good points there. Rob might have been more myth than reality, and also the Rob that we once knew might not exist anymore. So I understand that. Two, Banton has been good, and it's like kind of disappointing that you just let him leave you just tossed him away.
Dude, Banton's been awesome.
Open up the roster spot for what's his name, Jayden.
I mean, look at just the last few games. Banton, 28 points, 21 points, 12, 26, 12, 31, 28, 14, 17, like 28, 16, 25, 30. This guy's putting up legit numbers over there. Like, you guys are laughing me off. 9 assists, 8 assists, 9 assists, 6 assists. Like, this isn't just he's not just putting up schmuck numbers right now.
Yeah, but Jimmy, that team sucks. He's putting up numbers on a bad team because he's getting basically the green light to take any and every shot he wants.
He's getting an opportunity, Sherrod, is what he's doing.
If you put Peyton Pritchard in the same situation, he's probably a 20, 25 point per game score too.
Peyton Pritchard's another good example of a guy that's getting an opportunity and making the most of it. I mean, Peyton Pritchard's a great player right now. I mean, listen, I get what you guys are saying. I'm just saying Banton is playing better than anyone could have ever imagined when he was on the Celtics team. So it's another player, if you want to talk about players that the Celtics have kind of missed the mark on and let go and had an opportunity to do something elsewhere, you got to add Banton to that list, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I knew Banton was going to be a great player. I didn't know that either, but I'm not getting paid to know that.
I still think that when he had opportunities to play, he just didn't show enough that would make you want to keep him around and extend his run. That's my issue with him. He would give you a flash. It goes back to what Nick Nurse said about him. Nick Nurse had him longer than any coach had, and Nick was pretty clear about some days he's really good. Basically, some days he's nowhere to be found. And that's kind of what you saw in Boston. To me, he was a guy that if he really, really, really was going to stick with this team, you make those 5 minutes that you play and you do one or two things that show you can make an impact. And those 5 minutes, and remember, Joe Mazzulla was in on him before. Where all of us were basically crapping on Joe for playing this guy, for even giving him a shot. So at some point, he had done enough in practice, or at least he'd convinced Joe enough to at least give him a small shot at playing more. And he didn't max that moment. Totally, he whiffed on it multiple times. And now he's got a situation in Portland where they're basically saying, look, you play as much as you want, take as many shots as you want. We're good. He's thriving. I don't know of many players who wouldn't thrive in that situation. I think he's an NBA player. I just don't think he's a rotational guy or a high rotation guy. He's good enough to be on your roster, though.
I think there was probably minutes for him here, but I don't know that it's going to be the difference between anything, that happens to this team going forward. It still seems like, unless you think Springer is a good piece down the road for you when you're trying to build and fill out your roster, and really it's a move ahead that you were looking at, sure. Certainly you don't want to compromise anything that's going to impact this year's team. I don't know. I don't know where they find the minutes, honestly, to have him make an impact, because really you're rolling 8 deep with maybe 9. Who's going to not play at this point? He's not playing ahead of Pritchard he's not.
Right.
He's not going to play ahead of Howell.
No, he doesn't need to now. Yeah, they've got their.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure, and there's some love for Springer in the timeline, so I'm not sure. But could he have stayed over Svi or someone? Yeah, sure, of course. More value. Someone goes down, could probably fill in as a backup wing, and also obviously play that point guard coming in, second unit if you need.
Would he make Holiday expend? Would he make Holiday somebody that you might not?
I don't think he's good enough to be in that conversation. No. If you want him, you can go get him again next year or whatever. You can go find your Delano Banton if you need him.
Right. Well, it's it's different situation now, obviously, but
they had 5 of those guys this year. They're all over the place. Him, Brissett, Stevens. So
don't put him with those guys. Come on.
Well, he was below those guys in most people's estimation.
Yeah, then I know, but now he's not.
I know, but again, we don't know if Stevens is playing well. When he got traded, you trade Brissett, he could be friggin' averaging 15 and 7. I don't know. So again, it is what it is. Portland's a unique situation here. They are dreadfully bad, and also they, along with most of the bottom 8 teams in the NBA, are absolutely the tanking. And the bottom 8 in the league are so bad post All-Star break. I was seeing some numbers on it too. So you could do whatever you want to do here. Portland's not.
Throw some respect on his name. That's all. Throw some respect.
I like the guy. I'm not down on him.
You just called him Lamar Stevens, dude. You don't like him. You actually hate him for saying
he was below Lamar Stevens in most people's estimation.
Which is true. That's true, Jimmy.
I'd say
we were wrong. We were wrong.
Perhaps. Let me tell you real quick while we're waiting for Bobby and Josue to jump on. One of our sponsors here at the Garden Report. Do I have it? I got my swag, my PXG.
We want to see it. We want to see it
I can't take. It's just the whole apparatus is difficult here. I got headphones. I'm just not. Then I can't hear.
He's scared to put the hat on, Sherrod. He's scared to.
I wore it already. But this stuff is good stuff. It's high quality golf wear and apparel. PXG on a mission to create the most high quality, high performance clubs in the game, but also some sweet apparel in their store and on their website that you can take advantage of. We'll tell you how in a second. But premium materials, airy, light, breathable, really awesome stuff. Peak performance, confidence inspiring looks, cool designs too, some really funky stuff, and really, really sharp. I wore one of the shirts a couple days ago and it was awesome. I loved it. I wore it all day. But again, wow. Elevate, it was awesome. As soon as I got it, put it on, bang, all the way through to the Garden
Report. How'd the perspiration go? Because you're a sweater.
Awesome. It didn't sweat. No. Perfect. It was reverse sweat.
Good to know.
Yeah. I kept it in. It holds.
If it works for you, then it works.
It holds sweat in your body. But anyway, elevate your style game on and off the course. PXG's Spring Summer 2024 collection. Head over to pxg.com/garden. Use that code GARDEN. Save 10%. It's worth it. Honestly, really good stuff. Check it out, especially if you're getting ready for the season. But even if not, this is cool stuff, quarter zips, polos, stuff that you'll just wear around comfortably, during the spring and the summer. Really, really, really cool apparel. This is an awesome deal. pxg.com/garden. Use that code garden. You get 10% off right away, Jimmy. So go check it out.
Love it.
You check it out. Will you check it out?
I have checked it out.
Okay. Have you checked out Prize Picks?
I have. I'm not going to say anything more than that. I have checked it out. I go less and more all the time.
Again, we're out of March, but here we are, April, lots of cool stuff still going on. Of course, you got one more big college game tomorrow, the national title game, but then you've got the NBA with the playoffs and hockey, and that's all you got to do is head to Prize Picks, the official DFS partner here of the CLNS Media Network, and the best place for this sort of action in North America. Go to Prize Picks. All you have to do is pick more or less on any player stat projections, up to 6. And that's it. That's all you got to do. The more you go, the more you can make here. But the best thing is you can get a great match deposit here of up to $100 when you go to download the app, put in the code CLNS, very simple, CLNS, and deposit your money. Immediately you get 100 as a match deposit. So again, head over to Prize Picks, download the app. It's really easy to operate, intuitive pictures. It's all there for you, and get in on the action today. Back to the game today. Going through here, people want us to talk about this, so go ahead. I'll let you guys do it. Jaylen Brown hit 10,000 points. I can't believe we're not talking about the 10,000 points. Talk about the 10,000 points.
He scored 10,000 points. Great.
What's your favorite point of the 10,000?
Yeah, let's go through all of them.
Let's break them down. Hey, good for Jaylen Brown.
It's go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh, good for
Remember
Jaylen
when
Brown.
Tatum did it and I didn't care and everyone got mad? It's not the person I don't care about. I don't care about the numbers. I don't care. Like, they're going to get to 10,000 because they're good and they're young. They're going to get to another milestone and another one and another one. But
we
it's
expected
cool.
10K out of these two. So it's good that they did. Jalen's had a great year. I think we've been very supportive of Jaylen Brown this year.
Very good year. Yes.
He's had an awesome year. He really has. I think it started off a little rocky at the first. We were wondering how his role was gonna how he's gonna, find his role on this team with a couple of new players and combine that with the big contract and how all that gelled together. I think he's done about just as good as he possibly could, all things considered. So hat tip to him for 10K. I mean,
it's great and it's cool, but with this franchise, and you guys know it, it's about championships and it's about being at a minimum in like the top 10 at least. And that's not top 10. 10th in all-time scoring is Josue White at like 13K on some change. And then you got Havlicek, who's at 26K. So this is cool. It's a nice
talk
to
me when you get Havlicek.
Well, talk to me when you get in the top 10. I mean, because Havlicek is just going to be difficult. Tatum is probably the only one that I think has a realistic shot in in his career to get there that we know of. But Jaylen could certainly be in the top 10. I expect him to be in the top 10, but he's not there yet. And so I'm not going to get giddy because he's got 10,000 points. That's what the number 3 pick in the draft should be doing at this point in their career. They should be at that mark. So it's cool, but let's not.
Antoine Walker's got more points than him. So
when you start looking at the numbers, you're realizing that it's cool milestone because again, it's nice to say that you scored 5 figures in points, but there's so many guys that are ahead of you.
It's fun. It's just a number. It's a round number, but it's cool. And he scores a lot. Really, all anybody cares about is winning the title, as you said, Sherrod. So that's giving Jaylen flowers for the 10K. Really, what we care more about is that he's playing well, and hopefully that the hand's not an issue as they enter the playoffs here and make some noise. Jaylen was good with the starters. We talked about the bench being terrific tonight, especially in that fourth quarter, and really, good games throughout from other players like Peyton Pritchard, and that really carried things. Joe Mazzulla talked about kind of, hey, what's been going on with the bench playing them and empowering them to do what they've been doing here. Here's Joe. Producer boy. I pressed the button.
Boy.
Out of my
Come
hands.
on, producer boy.
That's a bad habit of mine. I do that at drive-thrus all the time. I say hi, but how are you?
Yeah,
What's happening here?
sure.
What?
What did we just walk
about
into?
Kings game, wanting to hold these bench guys to the same standard as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're down the stretch of the season, you're playing them for longer stretches in the fourth quarter. How rewarding is it for you and for them that they get to kind of show what they've been working on all season, staying ready in these bigger moments?
I mean, they've done it all year. Like I said, everybody on that team has either started a game, finished the game at some point, or has been in significant minutes. So at this point, it's just continuing to just work on those things. And I think they all know that that's the standard because they work at it. So it's hard to forget some stuff because it's such a long year. But there was moments throughout the year where those guys were starting games and 4 or 5 in a row and back to backs and so just continuing to coach them up is the most important thing.
Coach them up.
Coach him up.
What are we?
What
was that? Jimmy Fallon asking the first question? What's going on with that?
Yeah,
Bobby, what's going on?
What's up, Bobby?
What's up?
Whoa.
No.
Where are you in like a?
Can't.
He's in the kitchen.
Yeah, is that commercial?
Oscar the Grouch can't be banging on the friggin' garbage can behind you.
It's a parade.
No, Bobby.
We'll wait for the banging to go, and we'll bring Bobby back in a little bit here. It's like it was almost.
Bobby,
on
give us
tour,
a
like,
It was almost like on cue. Like it was waiting for him
Bobby,
to
what's
start
going
talking.
on? Bang, 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 bang.
Bobby,
This is
can you
what's
hear
going
us?
on.
Give us a thumbs up if the.
Yeah, Bobby. When the noise clears, give us a thumbs up. We'll bring you back on here. What was the beginning of that question? I didn't understand it.
It's. We'll have to ask.
Just
Conrad.
someone saying hi. Just play it like reporter footsie.
We got the thumbs up from Bobby. Maybe Bobby's
Bobby's back.
First question. Bobby, what was the very first question to Joe all about?
Oh, the one you just played. The guy asked how you doing and didn't give him a chance to answer. So yeah, it was just some grab ass.
Just some guy. Grab ass. Love that.
I love it. Really grab ass.
Just some grab ass.
How are
I love
you?
it. Bobby, what do you got on the game?
Not a ton. It's amazing seeing Ban do what he's doing. I'm sure you guys talked about.
Thank
it
you.
already.
You know what, Bobby? We did. Thank you for bringing that up.
All right. It's the Banton report the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean that's all that really matters out of this one. I can't believe what he's doing, and I'm sure they can't either. I know, Joe talked before and after the game about we signed him because of what he's capable of, and it's opportunity and this and that. You've said it, John. It's got to be a rough feeling to see him doing this. And I asked Joe that before the game. Are you more thinking, oh, tough to see him doing this for a different team? Or are you more thinking this had to happen for him to be able to do this? And he went with more the latter. You need the minutes. You need the shots. It's the Neesmith situation. But unlike with Neesmith, where you knew he had the pedigree of a first-round lottery pick and moments with the Celtics where you saw this, Banton was shooting like 30% from the field and like 12% from 3 with the Celtics. So it was tough to.
I know that it wasn't there in the reduced minutes, but it's exactly the bench thing. Like it wasn't happening here because you didn't give him a chance. But like also there was too many of those guys. That was the problem between Stevens, Banton, Brissett, and everyone you brought in. There was maybe 7 minutes total to go around. Like there's no way unless you just said and they tried. Banton got the first crack right early in the year. Banton was the guy getting the most run, and he didn't do anything with his minutes. Then a little bit of Brissett. Stevens barely, except for like that one start at the 5 against Orlando. But like Banton got first crack, and he was so bad offensively. I think if he wasn't that bad, he might have lived, right? He was just so bad offensively in the first run when they were trying to feed him minutes that I think
I think it was more
early.
I think it was more they really like Springer. You had another guy that mix. There's no time at all to go around. So the only second guess you have here is could you have paid all those guys? Could you have kept all of them? Because you didn't have to trade Banton to clear a spot for Springer. You kept that spot open so you could maybe add a buyout guy or Kada, as it looks like it's going to be here. So you could have kept them. You could have. But you wanted Springer. you haven't seen much from Springer yet. I know he was just banged up for 4 or 5 games. So I guess in the next season, you'll see what Springer's capable of in a spot role, because that's what you need, John. You need a guy who can play small minutes and do a lot with those, not a guy who is going to do this with more opportunity, but is never going to get that opportunity. So it could still work out from the Celtics' perspective here, but early on, it's tough. And we saw moments where we liked him. I think in our preseason predictions too, I wrote that he was going to end up being the backup wing for them, because I just loved his preseason, loved his camp. He was here early, learning everything about the offense, and he played in summer league too. So he was just around this team and trying so hard to break through. I don't know if you got the clip through yet of him, but he was saying it's tough. It was
We
tough
got it.
here,
You want it?
The,
you want Banton?
Yeah.
I'll give you Banton. Here he is.
Goal for you, knowing that, all right, I'm not going to play a ton, but I'm going to be learning a lot? Or do you always look at it and say, like, I could be doing these, 10, 20-point games if I got the opportunity?
It's definitely difficult. For any guys in the NBA, I feel like there's a lot of guys in the league who don't have that opportunity that may be able to show what they can do if they get the opportunity. But, I feel like just trying to stay ready, trusting in the work. Every day you have to wake up and be a professional. Regardless, man, we're in a place of work. We're in a workspace, and no one wants to be in there with the bummed guy. You got to come in regardless, playing or not. You got to be able to put a smile on your face. You got to be able to come in, work, and trust the work that you put in. And that goes a long back. We've been playing basketball for our whole lives, so we have fun doing it too. So coming into work is not a big hassle for us. So just trying to figure out ways to stay professional if you're not playing, and just stay ready when your name's called, and try and make the most of it.
Stay ready.
That's a stay ready crew guy.
He was the king of the stay ready crew.
Speak. I didn't know that's what he sounded like.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I didn't know. He could have come out with big bass. I would have been like, oh, yeah, that's what he's done. No idea. Nope. Had no clue. Yeah. And that was Delano Banton.
Are
Bobby,
you bummed about it? You bummed about it, John?
We talked about it earlier. I don't know what it, I think it's nothing to sneeze at, man. I mean, the numbers he's put up are impressive. You're playing against NBA competition. I don't care that you're playing for a bad team. You're doing it against real players, and he's doing it. Some of his stat lines, like he had that one big game, but he was like 11 for 29. It's not high efficiency. It's high volume. I know the 3-point percentage went up, but I still think he's shooting around 42% from the floor. So if you give any NBA player 20 shots a game, they might score 20 points, and he might be one of those guys. So I don't know entirely, but there's definitely some stuff. Like, I love how he's taken it to the basket, and be able to create those types of buckets there. But I don't know. Let Josue chime in on the Banton stuff or whatever else here, because he's sitting patiently as we talk about what could have.
Is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely is, John. I was waiting for an intro. I was waiting for the whole thing.
I know.
Josue Pavon, everybody.
Listen, the opportunities that Banton received, it was plenty. If you ask me, on a championship caliber team, that's just the way it goes. I mean, yeah, Bobby, you brought up all those guys like Lamar Stevens and Banton and man, what's the guy? Cuse. I'm trying to freaking blank right now. Brissett, right? I feel like there was an opportunity for one of those guys. I just think the Celtics, they want to carve out. They wanted one of those guys to carve out. I don't know, 9-10 man rotation, and they just didn't see it with Banton. I don't know. Like I'm not saying this will be the story of Banton's career, but let's not get it twisted here, man. Like I wouldn't go as far as to say most NBA players would score 20 points on 20 attempts, but I mean, let's face it. He's given this opportunity with the Trailblazers. He's given all these times that he can just essentially do whatever he wants out there, and this is what it looks like. He was never going to be able to. He was never going to be able to do that here in Boston. He was never going to be able to. He was never going to be given that free range to go out and even attempt anywhere near 20, shots. And for a lot of players, that's like the magic. That's what they need to actually be productive every single game, and adapting to different systems isn't always easy in terms of the defense. I think that's the part that things were not always, they look kind of shaky out there, like with the switching and adapting to what Boston does. It's not for everyone. It takes a while to get used to. And I feel like maybe when he was starting to get used to it was when the opportunity stopped for him, right? Around mid-season or so, and they were able to move on. But hey, I'm happy for him. I just, again, I don't look at this as man, the Celtics really messed this one up. I just don't see it that way.
It's hard. I mean, I don't see it that way either. I don't think anyone can say, "Oh, I knew that Banton had this in him," but
Not
you do
this,
kind of
but
you
he
do
was a
feel a
good
little
player at the
discouraged because
time.
there are guys that are being paid a lot of money to know what these players are capable of, and given a certain opportunity or put in a certain position. And
Right.
if anyone in the Celtics front office or staff had any idea that he was capable of anything close to this, he is not given away for what he was given away for. So that's the disappointing part of it. And I obviously exaggerated earlier, Bobby. I said if you could have one Blazer back right now, who would it be? Rob or Banton? Point I'm trying to make is that the way Banton's playing, damn, like he could really help your team out in that off the bench or future seasons if you had an idea that he was capable of this stuff. But it, like you said, Bobby, it's another situation of a player that didn't have the opportunity here and finds a bigger role elsewhere and starts to thrive in that role. And that's good for Banton for taking advantage of it. It's all about opportunity and preparation. Most two things meet.
And he got that training in Boston, right, Jimmy?
Right.
That helps as well. The two go hand in hand. Let's not act as if Banton was given a lot more chances early in the season that this would have been the end result by the end of the season. I don't think it works that way. I just think he took a lot of what was the standard here in Boston and given free range to offensively. I mean, who's taking shots for him? Ayton, it's just. That's not the way the Portland Trailblazers roll, and especially with their top tier guys out. I mean, he's taking the most advantage of his opportunities. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I did ask Chauncey down in Atlanta when we saw him down there, the Hawks-Blazers game between the two Celtics games. Someone asked, "Is this Banton?" And even Chauncey was like, probably not. Like, when the real team's in place and
head coach,
when guys are in their roles. It's going to be a different kind of role for Banton, and you're not going to be seeing 20, 30 points in that role. Like John said, it's volume. But when you have these stay-ready crew games like tonight and maybe guys are down here and there, I mean, he's so young too. It's just the tough part is, Jimmy, you gave him away for nothing. You didn't get anything for him. You just threw him away. You might as well have cut him. I mean, that's tough. And you have a roster spot that's open too, and you're going to give it to Keita probably here. Who's fine, but you have Tillman now, and maybe you keep Cornette. There's so many centers in front of him that he's never realistically going to be an impact guy on this team. You might lose Hauser in a year or two here. You might need another young wing to step into the depth chart there. And if Banton kept developing for another year or two, he signed to a second year minimum on a team option. It's tough. It's not a devastating misstep here, but it is a misstep by the Celtics here. I don't think there's any other way to put it.
Right.
We'll see what Springer does. He hasn't done much so far.
Right. One of the things the Celtics did do.
Hold on, Sherrod's muted. He's about to call on
now. No, I was just gonna ask, where would he play if he was still, even if let's say he was developing, whose minutes is he taking? Is he taking Sam's minutes?
Maybe in a year or two.
But that's the thing, man. I think this is about now. This is about this year. This is about.
But Springer's not playing either, Josue.
The next title,
right?
Springer, but I don't look at it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say Springer. I mean, I don't think they made the move for Springer for this year. I think that was a move strictly to help them down the road because, as you know, they're not going to have the quality draft picks that you want to have. So you've got to add players who have value down the road, who you're going to develop, and not necessarily need them right now. Ben, I think he's shown this so far. He's closer to being a guy that can help you win than not. His development, I don't think the window for his development is wide as the window is for Springer, and that's a compliment to him because that means he's done some really good things at this point. But I keep going back to what Nick Nurse said about him. When he talked about him, it's just basically a guy that some nights he's really good, and some nights he's just kind of out there, and it kind of aligns with what Chauncey said, about Banton when you talk to him in Atlanta. And again, he's going to be a decent player in this league, but for what the Celtics needed, do you really want to keep this guy at the end of your bench and hoping that he's going to develop it, when in fact you're probably better off opening that spot up to someone who you truly can develop? Because I don't think Ben is going to be happy knowing he's got the things that he can do and he's not getting a chance to play. I think Springer is more than happy to just develop, particularly when you look at the hot mess that he came from.
Let's talk about an actual roster battle that's brewing.
We're talking
right now.
about the fifth wing, Jimmy.
Yeah, we're talking about the fifth wing right now. He's your fifth wing, and he's not even on the team, Sherrod. He's no longer on the team anymore. Let's talk about maybe the last real
6'8", yeah,
rotational battle that we can talk about right now after another performance from Tillman that I think we can say was solid. Tillman tonight, 9 points, 4 7 from the field, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. Bobby, I'll start with you because I'm very interested in this has been kind of brewing for a bit now, but is Luke still your third center or is it Mr. Tillman?
Yeah, I think Luke is, and I know Sherrod agrees with that too, and it's not changing much here late in the season. I like seeing Tillman take the steps he's taking. I think there's going to be a spot for him in the playoffs. It's going to be matchup dependent. But on any general night or if one of the centers in front of them goes down, I think Cornette's the one stepping in that spot, at least initially, and you can change from there. You can make adjustments. But Luke hasn't done anything to lose that spot, and Tillman's looked better of late, but I've gone over this again. Luke's a better fit for the offense. They're focused on offense. He's a good drop defender. There's some limitations to his defense, but in terms of the offense between these two, it's not really close. Luke sets all the right screens, makes all the right passes. You see again in this game, there's some great passing from Luke at different points. So he's just a smarter, better offensive player. 3 offensive rebounds too that led to some points there, and a +5 in this game. So I like Tillman a lot. I like what he's doing. Every night he looks better, but nothing's changed in my mind over these last.
He's no Luke.
I think, but Bobby, the one thing you just said that I think is worth pointing out is every night he looks better. Every night he looks more comfortable than the night before. Every night he's putting some semblance of an imprint on the game, and that's something that, again, when you get talking playoffs, you want as many guys who can impact the game positively as you can out there on the floor. Mm-hmm. So I still think Luke has the advantage. I still expect Luke to be that first, center, the third center for the Celtics. But I think whatever gap that existed from the time X-Men got here to now, that gap is closing. It's not nearly as wide. And it's to the point where, I don't think anybody would be terribly shocked if Luke continues to play the way he has and X plays the way he has for these last 4 or 5 games, if Joe makes a decision and plays X a little bit more than Luke. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't expect it to happen, but I don't think anyone would be shocked if it did, based upon how things have been playing out lately.
Yeah, I agree with that, Sherrod, 100%. I think someone has a shorter leash now, I guess, in the playoffs. I mean, if I'm seeing a scenario where Tillman comes in and takes sort of takes that spot from Luke, we've seen in the past where something drastic or something that you don't expect, and Mazzulla turns to that guy, and if he comes up big, then that guy might finish the second half or go back in the second half, and you might not see Luke. So I see it in that type of way. Tillman, heat of the moment, Tillman goes in there, and if he's making plays the way he's been doing with the limited amount of playing time, or even the extended amount, like tonight, that strip and transition, man, yet all 5 of the Trailblazers still going in the same direction. They thought they had a layup, and then not only did he make the steal so cleanly and completely, threw the Portland Trailblazers off, but he did a perfect outlet pass to Pritchard, to finish the layup. Like, that's the kind of stuff in the playoffs, man. Like that's huge if you're getting that kind of production from your 9th guy off the bench. Like that's the kind of stuff I think would convince Joe in the heat of the moment. Again, the heat of the moment, say, okay, I'm gonna ride out with Tillman. Now, would that be the case for the entire series? Maybe not though. I just think Luke, it's probably his spot to lose, but Tillman is adding that pressure for sure with these type of stops and this type of presence on the defensive end of the floor, especially. And then, lately he's shown how good his hands are in the paint in terms of, battling for bounce passes and looks down low. That kind of stuff too goes a long way, especially for the second unit.
He's a raw offensive player. You saw at times today too. He got stuck underneath at one point and just kind of tossed up like this messy reverse layup. I'm not ripping him.
You forget about the up fake. The up fake that had 2 guys. He sent 2 guys flying. He got the layup. Shout out to Jaylen with the bounce pass. Oh,
that was a good up and under finish. It's just
I didn't know he had that.
You got one player who's better at defense between the two. You got one player who's better at offense between the two. And we've had this conversation before, Jimmy.
That's true.
They're focused on the offense. And realistically, neither of them's going to play on the highest level in the playoffs this year. But if there is a matchup, if there is a series where you want to play double big, you'll need a rotation or two from those guys. And listen, they've gone to double big pretty much in every rotation late this season. And Joe has been emphasizing it throughout the year. So you've seen Luke with Tillman. Is that possible? Probably not, but it's in their arsenal now.
No, not.
You saw Cornette and Porzingis tonight.
Pritchard almost yelled at Luke when he messed up that lob. Remember that one?
Yeah. So
there's all this stuff coming to me now. I don't know, Bobby. I don't know.
They have a ton of combinations that they can go to in that front court there. And listen, anybody you put out there with Horford, it looks like it's going to be a good combination. I think every one of these combos we're talking about, Jimmy, is a positive net rating. So they've gotten those guys reps together. The big ones, Porzingis, Horford, though, they love that. They have sat guys and gone to that consistently. They did it again tonight to start. And it's a really good lineup with those two out there. Not only offensively, where both can shoot, but defensively, you're getting to some of that aggressiveness with that starting five out there that you didn't see over the last two seasons from this team. So that's what excites me the most. They're suffocating teams right now defensively with bigger lineups. Does that mean Tillman and Cornette will enter that dynamic? I think you lean no on the average night. But if you do go a little bit longer with double big, you're going to have to use one of those guys in rotation. So it's going to be an important decision, as Josue said, which direction you go on a given game, because it is tough to pivot away after a couple minutes. Like we talked about with Banton, how can you make the most 3-4 minutes where you have maybe one shot and a couple trips up and down the floor? That's tough, because the one thing they've done well this year, Jimmy, that bench has played with freedom. They're shooting, they're running up the floor, they're making plays. So they're gonna give those guys some freedom to play. Joe said it on the radio a week or two ago, as I mentioned. You've gone to these guys all regular season. The playoffs, that can't be any different. That's exactly what Joe said a week or two ago. So I think he's going to play all these guys in different spots in the playoffs. And it's good to have both. It's great to have both. That's really the story here, is that you can use either depending on the situation.
We hit on it a little bit in the beginning of the show. Neither of you guys were here, Bobby or Josue. Interesting sort of down the stretch they come here scenario with the play-in options and the way the Bucks are playing, the way the Heat are playing. But the Pacers beat the Heat today, 117-115, extend their lead in the Eastern Conference standings, playoff standings here. We've talked about it off and on the show, but you got the Pacers are now in 6th. You got Heat that are in the
play-in game. This is a big game.
You got the Sixers in 8th.
I was watching this.
And you got the Bulls and the Hawks rounding out those play-in matches right now. But it is like between – you can even throw the Bucks into the mix a little bit, but between the 2 seed and the 7 seed or 8 seed right now, handful of games here. And then is there a team that you're looking at right now that's standing out to you in one way or another that you really want to, if you're the Celtics, you want to avoid, or you want? I mean, when it comes to the Pacers or the Heat, 2 teams that have given the Celtics trouble in their own ways this season and in previous seasons. Is there a right or a wrong answer to this one?
I think at this point it's going to be Philly. Bobby, go ahead, Josue. I was going to say, I'll just say quick. I think it's going to be Philly or Heat at this point. So take your pick.
Philly or Heat?
Miami. Not just because I happen to enjoy the city of Miami, but I just think it's a great way to start off the playoffs for this team, man. Knock out the team that knocked you out last year. You know, that could have you could have made history, NBA history, being the first team to come back down 0-3. Tatum went down the first minute. You guys know the rest of the story. Like, this is a great storybook start to the postseason for the Celtics. You know, why not? And if you ask me, the confidence is through the roof, and they can bypass through any team in the Eastern Conference if that mental hurdle is they're able to cross that. So I don't know. I don't think it's one of those things. I don't think the Miami Heat is like the same team we saw last year, where it's like, oh, those guys are dangerous. I don't know. They look a little shaky this year, even though they happen to put together some wins here. But this game that they lost tonight against the Pacers, that was a big L. That was a big one. So you wonder how they're going to respond from that. It's funny because if you ask me, out of all the teams in the East that could push the Celtics to 7 games, it could be Miami's definitely a team that I would throw out there if I was a betting guy. However, the way they're ending this regular season and the way the Celtics are ending things, I think the Celtics could beat this team for sure.
It's interesting now. This is such a big game, Jimmy, because the Pacers get home tiebreaker now over both these teams, Miami and Philly. They get a game and a half over both of them. There's 3 games left. I don't think there's any way anyone catches the Pacers now, unless the Pacers just have a massive collapse over these last 3. So it's going to be Heat Philly. It's a tough call. I think they split their games this year, I want to say, as far as that first matchup goes there. And now that you think Embiid's back, you can see them maybe winning that one. But the Heat beat them in the playoffs a couple years ago. It's a toss-up. I think it always is in that play-in tournament. You have to think the loser of that game is going to have the edge over what's probably going to be the Hawks, maybe the Bulls. So the percentages keep saying it's Philly, Jimmy. They've screamed it for a week or 2 now. Everyone keeps telling me, oh, it's going to be Pacers. Well, the Pacers I booked their 6th seed, I feel like now. So get ready. It's going to be tough. Either one of these teams are going to be a load. There's no easy path now for Boston. And it's better that way. We've said this all year, Jimmy. Yeah. You got that Atlanta series last year. Yeah. You fooled around a little bit with it. It was a bad matchup in some ways, but it was a team you probably should have handled in 5 games. I don't think you're handling either Philly or Miami in 5 or less. I think it's going to be a 6-game series. And who knows if you fool around with that at all, it could end up going 7 there, especially with Embiid back. That's the one you really want to avoid, I feel like, as we said the other day, because it's just so physically imposing going against him falling down, guys crashing into each other. They got some physical role players there too, like Lowry. I think you want to stay out of that. And there's a real motivation to play in the Heat after what happened last year, like Josue said. And I just think it sets such a great tone for the playoffs. They're beatable this year. I don't think you can overlook them at all, given what they've done the last 2-3 times you've played them, and they still have those core pieces in Butler and Bam. So get ready. I mean, I don't think you're going to get that break with Atlanta again. Maybe you do. Maybe Trey comes back and leads them to a play-in win. They've been great in that play-in tournament. Maybe you get Chicago, which I feel like is the lowest chance. They just look done. I think you're going to be playing Philly and Miami round 1 at this point. Take your pick.
Yeah, plus, Bobby, I think if you look at the remaining schedule, Philly's probably the lightest. I know
it's easy.
As I'm saying this, they're down by 4 to the Spurs with 4 minutes left. But after they play San Antonio tonight, you got the Detroit Pistons, you got the Orlando Magic, and the Brooklyn Nets to close out the season. So, I can see Philly winning out. Outside of this game, we'll see how it ends. But I think out of those teams, though, they have the lightest schedule for sure.
That's a big deal if they lose to San Antonio. They're probably solidified in that 7-8 if they lose tonight. So they'll be in that mix.
Yeah, I'm gonna play
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's losing again tonight. Milwaukee's losing to the Knicks as we speak. There's still a few minutes left in that one, but they are losing.
They're gonna have to play one of these teams too. So look out.
Quick clip here from Porzingis talking about just locking in.
All of us need to be locked in, and now regular season, as I've said, I'm starting to turn it up now and heading into the postseason, and we have to be at the top of our game, for going for this run, and the stakes are high, and we have to bring our A game every night.
Sherrod, if they bring their A game, does it matter who they play in the first round? Do you care? Miami, Philly,
no,
whoever?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If they play their best, there's a team that's going to beat them 4 times in the best of 7. Not going to happen. But again, the key to that is bringing their A game and bringing it consistently and being healthy and all the little things that add up to winning a championship. They're as well poised as this franchise has been in a long time to do that. I mean, just look at the regular season record right now. There's only 5 teams in Celtics history who've had a better regular season in terms of wins than this team. So, historically speaking, this is one of the greatest teams that this franchise has ever put out on the floor. And when you're that good and you're locked in and you got everyone healthy, there are expectations with that. And that expectation is nothing short of a title. And they understand that. And I would like to see them play the Heat in the first round. I think they need that. I think that there's some demons that they need to get handled right off the bat so that they can.
You got to go to Miami too, right, Sherrod? Word.
For different reasons than Josue. Like I'm thinking about the basketball dynamics of it. Josue's thinking about Mai Tais and freaking little
beach
drinks,
beaches and nice food. There
you go.
Nice food. That's what they call it now. That's what they call it now. Nice food. Really?
Nice food. That's the key word.
Okay.
I'm just trying to still hold out hope for Atlanta. I know that, but that's
he's actually.
I know he
watches every hot.
Atlanta's probably going to Chicago at this point. They've kind of dipped a little bit, so they're gonna have to win on the road. Right now, I'm looking 49% chance Philly finishes 8th, 41% chance the Heat finish 7th now, and the Pacers up to 35% chance of finishing 6th. They could actually catch Cleveland for a 5 after Cleveland has slipped a little bit late this year. So
they're all tough first round matchups for their own reasons. Indy's got
that
high tempo.
No one's talking about Orlando.
No one is talking about Orlando. Maybe that's
they're the 3 seed right now.
They've been under the radar all year. Young team, not a lot of flash, but they play hard, and I think they take teams by surprise. They made noise. Didn't they make some noise in the tournament?
Yeah, they beat the Celtics in that group stage game.
Exactly. I didn't put that there. I don't know who wrote that.
That's funny though.
That is funny though. Guys, Jaylen Brown,
A game, they're beating anybody.
They are. It's just a matter of how quickly and how much wear and tear they can avoid in that first round so that they can be at their best for the second round when things start to get a little bit more difficult. Jaylen Brown, 10,000 points tonight. We mentioned it briefly. There was a few people in the chat who wanted us to talk about it, but Jaylen Brown had some things to say. He was asked, so we'll go ahead and play that clip. We'll get everyone's opinion on Jaylen.
It was great, especially all of the supporters who've been, supporting me from day one. Obviously, things have been, up and down throughout the early stages of my career, and I've been able to get different opportunities, been able to improve, but also been able to gain more responsibility. But for the day one, the JB fans who've stayed in my corner since day one, I feel that love, and I like to just show that love right back. It's a lot of people here in Boston who have supported my career, my journey, and I'm grateful for that. And that encourages me to just keep getting better. That encourages me to keep proving the naysayers or the critics wrong, and just keep leveling up.
I'm glad you kept that positive. I'm glad he kept that on the positive tip, because he could have easily gone into this is for all of the folks who booed me on draft night, folks who said they should trade me, the Jays can't play together and all that. So he kept it positive. I was impressive. I might have been petty in that moment.
You could have went Biggie Smalls and gone negative with it.
I might have been petty in that moment and been like, for those who didn't think I could do this, that I would have.
Said it would amount to nothing, all that stuff. Yeah.
So good for him.
I thought he was going that route as well. I thought he was just going to go the route of it wasn't always easy. And I was thinking about the years when he came back and wasn't a starter anymore after being injured, and it was just like putting Hayward into the forefront. And you guys remember those years? It was like, we got to get Hayward his reps, and Jalen's like,
what about me?
That extension, proved himself, obviously became a starter, all-star, all that. The rest is history. But yeah, it wasn't always easy for Jaylen. So it's pretty. It's a cool moment for him, man. Really happy for Jaylen tonight with the 10,000 points and such a significant milestone. And then for him just turn in a stellar performance that kind of got my, got the left hand injury in the back of my mind now. It's not at the forefront the way it was beforehand. So it was a great showing for sure. A great bounce back for Jaylen coming back from after having the night off or a couple nights ago to rest that hand.
Yeah, Bobby, just anything on just Jaylen, just not so much 10,000 points, but I guess just maybe this season specifically and how he's been able to sort of adapt to his, whether it's the role, whether it's the new contract. And then we'll probably wrap this one up, guys, since I think we've probably gone as long as we can on this game.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for more. The consistency, the defense, the further offensive steps when it comes to reining in the turnovers and utilizing the left hand more. He answered all the questions this year to the point where you're not even blinking. We had so many debates over the summer. 50 million, it's tough. Is this going to be too much? Is he going to last the contract? I think he's answered all the questions in that sense this regular season. There's still playoff questions to come. Those are going to fall on his and Tatum's shoulders, crunch time. A big one I wrote about over the weekend at Boston Sports Journal. So it's on them to solve those questions and any remaining ones in the playoffs. So I'm looking forward to watching that. And he's going to be a big part of it. Tatum needs to utilize him because he's just such a relentless, efficient scorer that the more you utilize him, I feel like the better your results are going to be there. So, they've won 1 million games without him this year. They got the undefeated record when he sits, but I think that's more of a statement on the depth and versatility of the team they have this year. So, to be able to have him lead a game with Tatum out like tonight and just have it be seamless, I think is great too. So, yeah, all that's valid. I said this a million times, Jimmy. He's one of my favorite Celtics ever, probably second or third. So I've really enjoyed watching his career and growth year in and year out, and the different ways he just keeps improving. I think it's all great.
No wonder you were surprised that he wasn't in my did he crack my top 10? Remember you asked me that question one time? Top 10 Celtics.
Yeah, your top 10 favorite Celtics. He was not in it, was he?
He was not. He's probably 11 or so.
Did Derek White make it?
He still has some time to creep up there, Josue. But there's Bobby. You gotta
Josue's
understand. There's a lot of Celtics players that have come and gone in me and Josue's lifetime.
We put right, Jimmy. We put time in. Okay,
You can't let them go.
The
We're
good, the
talking
bad, and the ugly.
Early
and I'm not talking about
2000s, man.
Brad's first season ugly. I'm talking about ugly.
Yeah, what you know about Milt Palacio and
you guys? Can you guys?
J.R. Brimmer.
J.R. Brimmer. Yeah, there's a long list, man. We had some dark days, so we can't just be rifling off top 10 guys from the last couple of years. It goes way
Forget about
deeper.
Ray Allen. What about Alan Ray? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, come on now. Come on now.
That is a damaged Celtics fan right there.
Come on now.
That has those names.
Jerome Moiso. Oh man, we could do this all night.
Damn.
We could do this all night.
We should. You know what? This is a good off-season. This is a good off-season episode. It's a good off-season episode, Josue. We just list random Celtics for an hour and a half. We just talk about them. That's what we're going to do this off-season for one. We're going to have to fill a sponsor show. It'll just be like the random Celtics show.
20 plus years of Celtics teams coming through that door.
All guys want to do is just list obscure athletes from the past. But guys, we're going to wrap it. But before we do, remind everybody that this is the championship of the March Madness Garden Report bracket. He's your third center versus Luke's Lemon Squares.
I think it's going to win.
We're going toe-to-toe. I'm hearing that third center is running away with it. So if you want Luke's Lemon Squares to have a prayer, get your votes in. We will announce the winner, I believe, on Tuesday night show.
Alan Ray.
Against the Bucks. Alan Ray, unbelievable.
I know, man.
So,
I know.
I forgot about that today.
I know.
Crazy. Alan Ray.
I was going to mention. One of them, one of the walkouts. I was going to mention Andrew DeClerc too, but we'll save that for the offseason.
Let's say everyone's gonna have to listen.
Yo, that dude.
Put together your top 5 most obscure Celtics players that you like. But anyways, get your votes in for March Madness. We want to thank Prize Picks for being a great sponsor, and we want to thank PXG for the same. We got this is the last full week of the regular season, boys. We've got the Bucks on Tuesday, Knicks, and then Hornets. Grant Williams comes to town on Friday night. Look at Bobby smiling. He can't wait to see his old pal.
Can't wait. We didn't get to see Rob tonight, Jimmy. That kind of stunk.
That does stink. He wasn't made available, huh?
He wasn't trying to talk about what
happened. Chilling. He wasn't hanging out.
I mean, from what who was it? Himmelsbach that put that out. There was a report that he even asked the organization to not do a video tribute. So
yeah,
I don't take that as like, oh, he hates the organization or whatever, but it's just like he doesn't want to go through that moment. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where I feel like he's just focused on what's going on in front of him, and clearly it's getting back on the floor. Like it has been a very, very frustrating season for Rob. So
I kind of think it was more about what John had said earlier about how, it was him, it was Malcolm, and it was, Banton. And if you only do one tribute video, you do it for him. And that's a little awkward, I think.
No,
is it though?
That
like, I get what John's saying, but like
that's a good point.
I mean, Brogdon had 1 year, Banton had whatever.
It makes
Jimmy,
but they're all trying to put that in the rear view, man. Like they all
led them to the finals.
Put it on the rear. Dude's not even playing in the damn game. I mean, just take your tribute and be on with your day, man. Like it's not that serious.
I think Rob. I think that was a factor, though. I definitely think that was a factor.
Whatever makes
shouldn't have been, but
yeah, I mean, whatever he wants doesn't. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I thought it was a little strange if they wanted to give him a tribute and he didn't want one. I mean, just
he deserved the tribute.
Accept your flowers, man. Like the people want to. This is their only chance to, give you some love. Just accept it.
Jimmy would have been that dude on the bus. He would have been that dude on the bus being like, people would have been talking to Jimmy. So you enjoy that, man? How was that moment for you? You have fun?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be Brockton.
Tell you what.
Sherrod would be Banton or whatever, vice versa. We were just asking you, hey Jimmy, you enjoy that, man? That's cool, man. Like,
I loved it. Thanks. Yeah, I loved it. If I'm ever in a position
when they
where
still traded you though, remember that? Like I would, I'd give you a hard time a little bit.
If I'm ever in a position where I can get a video tribute, you're damn right. I'm getting that video tribute. I'm not passing up on that opportunity. All right, guys.
Fair enough.
We're gonna call it. We got 3 games this week, so we will see everybody back here Tuesday night. I don't know who's going to make that trip to Milwaukee, guys, but we will be here regardless after the game to talk about it for at least 5 minutes before we go on to something different.
In Boston.
Yeah.
we
won't be in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Bobby, you might be sitting there next to a couple other Celtics players that might not make the trip. I don't know why some of them would, but we'll see. Celtics Bucks.
If I don't have to go to Milwaukee,
a waste of a good matchup. They're gonna make the good games earlier on in the season so that we actually get a full look at both these teams. But we will see you guys Tuesday night. Thank you, Sherrod, Josue, Bobby. Let me fire up the outro because I know Amit's got an outro here. Oh, and by the way, Sherrod, don't forget everyone. Bobby and Josue are going to be live after this with the post game show, the after hours show. So stay tuned. Be able to look out on Twitter and on YouTube for all that stuff. We will see you Tuesday. Wait, Amit's got an outro for us, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He said he was going to work on an outro.
He had a phenomenal game.
Phenomenal game.
Forfeit's out. I think it's an option. That did not sound like a chair.
It was a freaking chair. It does sound like a chair.